If you owned a Game Boy in the 90s, chances are you had a Super Mario Land game. The first game was a decent little diversion that played similarly to the original Super Mario Bros., but was definitely its own thing. The second Mario Land, the 6 Golden Coins, is an incredible game that pulls a lot from Mario 3 and Mario World. And then there's the third game in the Super Mario Land series, which isn't a Mario Land game at all. Wario Land Super Mario Land 3. Wario Land was developed and published by Nintendo and was released early in 1994 in Japan and North America. I probably got the game for Christmas or something later that year. I don't really remember. What I do remember is thinking this was one of the top 3 or 5 Game Boy games on the system at the time. I had Link's Awakening, 6 Golden Coins, and probably Kirby's Dream Land 2 sitting above it in my imaginary tier list. Wario must have been super popular after 6 Golden Coins came out to get a game of his own. He was the villain from that game, and it's kind of surprising that he got his own game even before Luigi did. Wario is out to find a way to get a new castle after Mario kicked him out of the castle he stole in the previous game. Wario decides to go after the brown sugar pirates of Kitchen Island to steal the giant golden statue of Princess Peach Toadstool to ransom it back to Mario for enough gold to buy a new castle. Wario has to bully his way through several areas of Kitchen Island, collecting coins and treasures along the way and adding them to his vault after each stage. At the end, he will confront Captain Syrup and her, bodyguard, and depending on how much treasure he's accumulated over the journey, he'll get his reward. As you can already tell, Wario Land looks pretty great compared to other Game Boy games. Wario and his adversaries are all big and detailed, and the backgrounds are vibrant and help bring personality to each of the areas of Kitchen Island. The title screen has a fun little intro animation that I've always loved, where Wario chases the pirate ship piloted by a frantic duck. The music is pretty decent, the main theme is super catchy, but the rest of the music ranges from good to just okay. I don't know, it's fun, it sounds good, but I just don't get the same feel from it as I did from, say, 6 Golden Coins. Stages are tackled through a world map, much like other Mario games, and some stages have secret exits that take you to secret levels that can give you access to new treasures and lots of coins and extra lives. There's even a whole secret area if you can find the right path through Mount Teapot. Each area ends with a boss. Rice Beach's end boss is a big ol' spiky Koopa Troopa dude that looks kind of like he could piss off a racer in first place, if you catch my meaning. But after certain levels and areas are completed, it can affect previous levels. For example, after beating Rice Beach, the tide raises and a few levels now show up underwater. You can also hit a switch that drains a certain lake later in the game, making a secret part of a stage accessible that houses a treasure. For a Game Boy title, Wario Land is pretty dang big and has a lot of cool secrets to uncover. That being said, it's not a super long playthrough. Being a portable title, the game can be finished in a few hours, which is awesome for gamers on the go or older gamers that don't want to sink tens of hours into a single playthrough of a game. But there are enough secrets to go back and find if you missed them the first time through to warrant multiple playthroughs. But also, since the game saves after every level, after you beat the game, you can go back right before the last level and try and fill all the blanks, collect all the treasures, and max out your coins. Wario controls pretty well. He's a little slow, but he has a shoulder dash attack that can rough up just about every enemy in the game. Wario starts as his normal self, but will shrink down in size if he gets nailed by a spike or a claw or some other sharp or pointy object wielded by an enemy. Usually if Wario just touches a soft spot on an enemy, the enemy will get sent into a daze and be completely open to a shoulder attack, a bop on the head, or a toss at another enemy. Shoulder tackling an enemy yields money, and some enemies are completely harmless but can be used to kill others or to just rough them up for an extra coin. Wario is definitely a bully. Beating up enemies is fun and rewarding. Sometimes if you find creative ways to get other enemies or the environment to kill your captive, dazed bad guy, the game will reward you with a bigger coin worth 10. It's never been so fun to be so bad. He feels a little floaty, but it's to the player's benefit. You can reposition yourself mid-jump so that you won't fall into pits or other dangers easily. Wario doesn't jump too far, however, but doing a dashing shoulder tackle before jumping helps him jump a bit further if needed. There are a few points where you need to make a longer jump, and it's totally doable if you're Small Wario or Dragon Cap Wario, which doesn't have a shoulder tackle, but it's so much easier if you do have a running shoulder tackle to get you safely across. Along the way, Wario can collect various pots. A garlic pot will power up Wario from his short self back to his normal self, or power up his normal helmet to a bull helmet, which powers up his shoulder tackle and allows him to ground pound. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first Mario adjacent game where the ground pound is a thing. A jet pot will give Wario the ability to use a flying shoulder tackle, as well as speeds up his movement and allows him to jump a little higher. A dragon pot looks like... well, I'll let you decide. But it removes Wario's shoulder tackle and allows him to shoot fire that will instantly kill most enemies. You can also collect heart points by beating enemies, or 10 heart points by collecting hearts. 100 heart points will gain you an extra life. Treasures can be found after finding a key in certain levels and taking the key to the corresponding skull door. Treasures will help with determining the ending of the game. At the end of most levels, you'll need to at least have collected 10 coins so you can generate a big coin to toss into a door's coin slot to open it. Additionally, a lot of levels have a midway checkpoint that you can only activate with, you guessed it, 10 coins. If you die, you'll start over at the same checkpoint as normal-sized Wario, but you'll forfeit any coins you collected. That being said, you do lose whatever coins you've collected if you die during a level, but any coins that you carry to the endpoint of the level you get to add to your vault. Wario Land isn't super difficult. There are levels that will take a few tries to complete, but you'll be able to collect enough lives to get you through without issue. During this playthrough, I played on the Super Game Boy on my analog NT. Anymore, it's probably the way to go if you're going to play this game, unless, you emulate it. You can't get it on the Virtual Console anymore. Yay. Hopefully Nintendo will bring it to the Switch Online service where they've already brought Wario Land 3. If you're going to play the original cartridge, I definitely suggest playing on the Super Game Boy or a Game Boy Advance SP. I found playing stuff on the original Game Boys anymore are pretty tough because of the lack of backlight and motion blur. And honestly, I could probably just copy this section to any future Game Boy reviews. This playthrough of the game was the first time in decades that I had made it past Mount Teapot. I really enjoyed re-experiencing Wario Land again. Since it had been so long, most of these stages felt brand new to me. And I gotta say, it was awesome. I loved playing it again. My younger self was right, this is definitely a top 3 or 5 in the Game Boy library. Wario Land is a top tier game, and if you're a fan of video games, you should play this. Give Wario Land a playthrough if it's been a while. Later.